jumbo scampi. For limited...
All for a price that will make you...
How the hell am I supposed to pay?
You're listening to BAMF, UK Comic Book Radio.
Hello everyone, welcome to BAMF Comics Radio, weekly comics discussion with comics news, reviews and weird points of views. I am Bertie Kempton and joining me today is...
myself, Lucas Maxted. Howdy.
Alright, I'm Neville Coleman. How you doing?
Hi, it's Fee. Hello.
And this is BAMF. So, let's start off with what we've been up to this week. What have we been up to this week?
I've been enjoying the sun, catching up on the comics news and scavenging the stuff from Free Comic Book Day.
I sent Bertie out for me because I couldn't be bothered to go myself.
You sent out your minion.
Yeah, so, but there was only a couple of things I wanted actually, but, so I've managed to get those.
Yeah, I feel quite bad because I sent Bertie as well and the comic he got me was the one he really wanted. And it's going 40 quid on eBay now and he didn't get one for himself.
Yeah, I got Lucas got a copy, I got you a copy and I completely forgot to get myself one. And I really just, out of all of them.
What was it? Again, you was after?
I don't want to tell you because you're going to sell it and have 40 quid and not let me read it.
No, just tell me.
It's Becky Cloonan and Jared Way's, Killjoys book. Was it Long Live the Killjoys?
Oh, you can have it.
Yes.
2 Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys, I believe.
There you go. I thought it was Long Live the Killjoys for some reason.
I think I did something like, can you get me something Killjoys? I couldn't remember.
Yeah. Well, as long as I get to read it, you can sell it afterwards.
No, you can just have it. But yeah. So, guys, what is hot in the news of comics this week?
Well, I've got a couple of bits of interesting news. The first one went up literally about an hour before we came online. The rumour is, and it seems to be more than a rumour now, is that 2000 AD have finally sorted out all the guff with Zenith by Grant Morrison. It's probably a bit of an old thing for you guys, but it was essentially the adventures of a sarcastic superhero published by 2000 AD, written by Grant Morrison and drawn by Steve Yowell in early 90s, maybe even late 80s. It's been a licensing nightmare, and much like Miracle Man, it seems to be about to be coming back into print, which is very good news. So I'm quite looking forward to that. And the other thing is, on the other side of the spectrum, are you guys aware of the great movement against Liechtenstein by comic creators?
No.
I am not.
Okay. To super truncate this, and I'm sure we'll get some grief from this for my misappropriation of the storyline, Roy Lichtenstein was a fine artist in around the 50s and 60s, maybe even 70s, and he made his name basically tracing comic book artwork and selling it as fine art, but for galleries and stuff. There's always been a bit of a backlash against this from the comics community, because people like Kirby and Herb Novak were, here's my work. Oh look, this bloke's made lots of money out of it, being a fine artist, even though I drew it in the first place. And there's a comic shop in the West End who did a exhibition, basically comic creators reappropriating the work of Liechtenstein, and they've all been quite official and quite nice. And this week's one was on the front cover of Viz, where there's a Liechtenstein special effect on the front cover, and Johnny Fartpants literally farting on the Liechtenstein artwork, which I was very happy to see. But that's all the news I found fit to print.
Yeah, I think the only other sort of big news this week, after we were talking about Iron Man last week, obviously, because we all went to see it. Apart from Lucas, you've seen it now, Lucas.
Yeah, I've seen it now. I've seen it twice, actually.
Ah, so you've made up for lost time there.
Yeah, I mean, I can do a really quick short review, really quickly.
Well, go on. I'll give my piece of news and then you can give your really short review.
Yeah, go on then.
They've taken, it's only opened in America was it last Thursday? So, cause we got it a week before in the UK over here. So it took, nearly $70 million on the first day of release in North America, which is pretty amazing. I think now it's taken in total something like, 175 million in North America alone, which made it the number 2, biggest debut of all time, second only to the Avengers. So looks like it's heading to make make similar money to the Avengers, which is, pretty cool.
Yeah, that's good. I suppose, kind of in news relevant to that as well, there's some Avengers 2 news, actually. I'm sure, because I think we were just discussing it before we got started, which is the first draft for the Avengers 2 has kind of been, leaked or spoken about or talked about, whatever, and, supposedly is going to feature Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver.
Yeah, this is cool, but I'd like to see them, because obviously they're kind of like original Avengers, characters, aren't they? They were there sort of like right from the beginning. But, they're mutants, and the whole kind of like, their relationship with the Avengers and the X-Men and stuff throws up kind of like licensing issues, doesn't it?
Yeah, because they're a big part, obviously, they're Magneto's children, and Magneto features heavily in the, all 4 X-Men films.
I can't really remember where I heard it from. I remember somebody of some importance telling me that apparently Marvel kind of struck a deal with, I think, who is it who owns the X-Men characters? Is it still Sony?
Fox.
Okay, Fox. Yeah, Sony does Spider-Man. But yeah, and, they don't have the X-Men license, but they are able to use certain characters from the X-Men franchise. So I suppose it's only a matter of time before Fox kind of go, okay, give us a large amount of money and we'll give you X-Men.
Yeah, I can see that happening. With Marvel, like, obviously, top 2 movies having the biggest opening ever, it's not going to be long until Disney/Marvel get their sights on the X-Men.
Yeah, also this week, the rights to several characters have actually reverted back to Marvel as well. So, Daredevil, the rights reverted back to Marvel a few weeks ago. Only about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I think. But also, just in this last week, Punisher and Ghost Rider have gone back to Marvel.
Okay, I heard that the Punisher was coming back. Jeff Loeb was talking about that, and somehow they're going to try and fit him into the whole movieverse. And also, I remember Marvel tried sparking a deal with Fox when the Daredevil rights were coming up to an end. Marvel tried going to Fox saying, you can have Daredevil for a little bit longer, because Fox did want to make a film with him, if you give us Galactus and Quicksilver. But Fox obviously thinking, no, we got a Fantastic Four movie coming, we want them, just handed the rights back over.
Yeah, no, it's be cool. I think somebody said to me on Twitter this week that they think Punisher and Daredevil as well, like those sort of like street level characters, would work really well as kind of like a TV series rather than a film. So like you could see sort of like HBO doing something, like with the Punisher or something. It would be really good, and I could see that.
Do you think we'll see Ben Affleck again as Daredevil?
No. No. Damian Lewis for Daredevil. I've been saying that for ages.
Marvel are trying to put some money and effort behind street level characters. They got the Alias coming, this Jessica Jones, aka Alias, whatever it is. And I did hear they want to put Iron Fist and Power Man on the TV. So
is this separate, or can you see these turning up as part of S.H.I.E.L.D., the S.H.I.E.L.D. TV series?
Alias is...
It could be featured. That would be a good way to introduce them.
AKA Jessica Jones has already been in production before S.H.I.E.L.D., but
yeah.
I can see S.H.I.E.L.D. getting connected with it all. It's all going to be under the same roof eventually.
Yeah.
But Daredevil, imagine Dan always wanted a She-Hulk movie like it, but you could do it with Daredevil, like Ally McBeal, but with a blind ginger man.
Yeah.
By day he saves people in the court, by night he punches people in the face.
Sounds good.
Like Ally McBeal did.
Mm-hmm.
Never saw Ally McBeal. But yeah, that's interesting. I don't really care about Ghost Rider after the 2 movies.
Yeah.
And I heard Blade as well, actually. If they got Blade, then maybe
Blade,
I do care.
Yeah, that was the other one. That's the other one that's just...
Maybe I do care a little bit more about Ghost Rider, because you could have like a Sons of Midnight book.
Yeah, and also Wesley Snipes is out of prison now.
Yeah.
Just
Blade's back twice.
Yeah, so just in time.
I bet Marvel got him out. Marvel/DC used their prison connections. It was like, you're going to release Snipes so we can use him. God.
Well, I suppose before we go into what we've been reading this week, I'll quickly give my Iron Man 3 review. Spoilers, everybody. Spoilers. First of all, better than 2. Only slightly better than 2. But worse than 1. Also, the Mandarin, blah, blah.
So you've seen it twice.
That's my review.
You've seen it twice, you don't like it.
No, I like it. I genuinely enjoyed it. The second time I watched it, I enjoyed it more. Just because it was nice to kind of see Iron Man being Iron Man without the suit. But still, I was kind of really gutted about the whole Mandarin thing. You know what I'm like with big kind of
you
behind
like
the scenes
big bad
villains.
guys. Yeah, you love bad guys.
I like it big, bad, and full of guys.
Hard.
So,
I mean, yeah, full of guys.
yeah. However, my favourite scene in that entire movie is when the Mandarin comes out of the toilet and says, "You don't want to go in there for 20 minutes." Because it reminds me of
everything you say.
something like that. But anyway, yeah, let's move along into what we've been reading this week. B, what have you been reading this week? Comics, right?
Well, comics, yeah. That's a start. Actually, this is there's quite a lot of things, I've been reading this week. Let's save one of them for a minute because I don't want to start off being angry. Maybe I'll end off being angry. Okay, I've been reading a lot of stuff this week. Loads of things. But I'm going to start with, Hawkeye 10, issue 10. And for the first time, I have something critical to say about this series.
Dun dun dun!
I know, it's amazing, isn't it? I was beginning to wonder whether there would ever be a bad word I could say about this series, but...
Well, I suppose it can only please you for so long.
Well, it's not, don't get me wrong, I'm not displeased. It's still a really, really, really good comic. It's a really good issue. It's still head and shoulders above a lot of the other stuff that's out there at the moment. It just, for me, wasn't quite as good as the previous 9 issues. And there's several sort of reasons for that. I'll just sort of go through them quickly. But first was the artwork. Francesco Francavilla has done this issue. And whilst I really like his art, and I really like a lot of the panels that he did in this issue. There's some panels where Kate and Clint are shooting some arrows together. I really like those. But it just, for me, just didn't quite fit with the series up until now. It's such a sort of like marked departure from what's happened up until this point, that it was kind of visually jarring in a way, for want of a better expression. And the whole tone of the book was really different to what we've had up until now. It was a lot darker, which is not, that's fine. It wasn't that I found, such a change. It was just that the whole, pace and tone was just different, and, just felt a little strange, when compared with the rest of the series. And things like, I felt like Kate was behaving slightly different, as to how we've seen her before. And it just, it was still good, but it just wasn't quite as good as the previous 9 issues for me. David Arger's back for the next issue, which is the Pizza Dog issue, which I can't wait to see. There are preview pages out there already. If you haven't seen them and you don't mind looking at preview pages, go out and have a look. They're amazing. And then Francovilla's will be back on issue 12. So it'll be interesting to see whether these 2 issues, 10 and 12, have got some kind of, relationship between the 2 of them. But, did you guys read it? Anybody?
I have not.
I have.
What did you think, Bertie?
I agree with a lot of what you're saying. It slowed down a lot. Issues 1 to 9 were faster, sharper. This was darker, but I think that's because it was an origin story in sorts of the Clown and his old background. But it just didn't. It was weird. It didn't seem like it took place in. I wasn't sure where it took place because of the way the book is. There's a lot of flashback scenes to years ago, which that's easy to follow. But in present time, there is a scene where he's talking with Kate in a nightclub, and then when that conversation ends, it then goes into Kate and Clint talking, and then, which is spoilers for the last issue, the murder of Grills. It seems like it's all continuous. But thinking about it, I don't actually know. There's bits in the conversation where just things said don't make sense. I'm really a bit confused. And it's the first time since Hawkeye has started where I was confused, and I kind of wished that they had put time markers.
Yeah, because before we've had this non-linear narrative more than once before, right? In the series, we've seen this, several times. This is something Fraction likes to do in this series, is tell us parts of the story in a non-linear way. And it's always been very easy to follow up till now, particularly when you've got Matt Hollingsworth's colours, because he sort of like employs techniques, doesn't he, so that you don't have to have these sort of captions denoting the transition between times. You can quite often follow things quite easy because, of his clever use of colours, but you don't have that with, Francavilla does his own colours, I think. And they're really nice. As I said, the whole thing overall is really nice. The colours are really nice, but it did make, because there are some time shifts and time jumps, and it did, I also found it hard to follow, and I read some comments from some other people who have all said the same thing. So, it just didn't work as well, as it has worked, in previous issues for me.
But I am giving it a chance. I will with Hawkeye. I'm not going to give it a chance. The way Matt Fraction tells stories, I do have a feeling that it was like this for a reason. I know he likes to, change his writing style for his artist, so the artist is comfortable. And also I think that what happens in this issue it's not just a confusing issue. Like you said, when issue 12 rocks around, we'll have a bit more sense injected into the whole thing. But yeah, it was still a really nice issue. I enjoyed seeing the clown. The very last panel, even though it was a repeat panel or page from issue 9, seeing Francavilla's version was, still was creepy. I really like this, the whole clown thing and
yeah, he's a good villain.
You see the similarity between him and Clint? Not just that they're blonde and the whole like origin in the circus thing.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Parallels, yeah.
Yeah, maybe this is going to be set up for someone that would actually give Clint a run for his money, like an actual like rival, because he's never really had an enemy of his own. Which would be nice. It'd be cool. I'm looking forward to it. And as you said, next issue, Pizza Dog. Saw some preview art. Looks bloody wicked. I love Pizza Dog.
Yeah, it looks amazing. I think, we've spoken before about David Archer doing some really sort of clever and different things, and this really looks like it's going to be a lot more of that. Just from the two preview pages that I've seen, it looks like it's Archer up to his clever tricks again. So yeah, really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, big time. He does things that you don't get anywhere else. It doesn't seem like a mainstream Marvel book with the stuff he does.
Yeah,
which,
that's what
I like.
I love, yeah.
But yeah, that was Hawkeye, and still go read it, guys. Issue 10 was just it was the ebbs to the flows, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. Just slightly different pace and tone to what's come before, but yeah, definitely still check it out.
Yep.
Okey doke.
So, things I've read this week. I figured between Hawkeye and Frank Quietly of Superhero Spider-Man, I think we'd probably have some non-Marvel stuff in there. My favourite comic that I've only just got into, but I think issue 2 shipped last week, is the spectacularly titled Sex!
Yeah.
From Image. As written by Joe Casey of things like Automatic Kafka, and I think he did quite a healthy run on Deadpool as well. Sex reminded me of nothing else more than Astro City, in that it seems to be all the big stuff, all the big events in these comics seem to have already happened. And everyone seems to be kind of going through some kind of midlife crisis and a bit of a trying to find their new identities after they've done all the big things they're meant to do. And there's a bit of a mystery to why this main character isn't actually doing superhero things, which kind of gets covered. I thought it was great. The artwork was really reminiscent of P. Craig Russell. There was a really interesting trick they did on the whole trying to suggest emphasis on speech balloons. It's really good fun. Obviously, not one for the younger readers, because there is a fair amount of, shagging going on in there. Sex going on indeed. But the
kind of in the title though, so.
Anyway, the thing that made it interesting for me was, the letters column. Joe Casey writes a really interesting letters column. I haven't read one since maybe the Invisibles or maybe the Preacher or Punisher letters columns where you can see the guy's thinking about stuff, but he doesn't think he knows everything. He just says, I think this, and it seems to be right, but I'm not really sure about it. He's already had his bit of first, how dare you do anything to do with superheroes having any kind of sexual relations letter. And rather than just dismissing the person, he's kind of like, okay, I can see why you think that, but, which is a massive difference to a lot of letters pages where it just seems to be a massive smug off, you know? It's just, okay, I've got the last word because it's my comic, therefore, even though you might have sent me quite a genuine, heartfelt letter, if I feel like being incredibly patronising, I will. It's a thing that really works for me, and I'm really intrigued to see where this goes, because for the first time in quite a long time, I can't see where this is going. And a lot of stuff, you know, like, it ends up with Thor smacked a machine with a hammer, you know, or the Wonder Twins do something. So Sex is interesting, it's very well written, it's beautifully drawn, and the covers are great. So, yes, go get some sex, readers. Next.
I just read it today, by the way.
Did you like it?
I thought it was okay. I would like to read the next one. I like the intrigue in there, like you said, like you don't really know. It's exactly what you said, where sort of like all the big stuff's already happened. So, I'm really interested to find out sort of, you know, what has happened and why the main character has come back and what's happened to him previously. It's an interesting setup.
Bertie, Lucas, have you had your fill of sex?
I only flicked through it briefly the other day. I haven't had a chance to sit down and properly read it yet.
You only touched upon it.
Yeah, I literally just touched sex, so, you know, still a bit new.
I think Lucas, I've been trying to tell you that we should have sex. I mean, get sex for ages.
Yeah, no, you have constantly nagging me about it all the time.
And I genuinely have. I've said you should, whenever I suggest a new book to Lucas, I always try and fit Batman into it because it's like bait. I use like a bait and switch. I'm like, it's got Batman similarities and then it hasn't. It's, but he likes it anyway. And I said to him, it's kind of like Batman after the cape. Without, you know, what he does when he's not Batman anymore. But I did say we should get some whatever sex.
Get some sex.
Let's have sex. What?
Well, on the whole, it sounds like BAMF highly recommends sex.
Yeah, we are promoting sex, but only to readers who are old enough to read sex.
But, be safe. Wear some gloves.
Yeah.
You know, cause you could catch anything from it. You know, you don't know where that sex has been.
That sex is full of dangerous ideas.
Yeah.
Well, second thing I read, being quite inspired by our little meet-up with the manga guys on our Geek Out in Croydon where somebody dressed as Thor tried to make out with me in the toilet. Didn't tell you about that, did I? Anyway.
Huh?
Yeah.
Sorry, Nebs.
It's just an occupational hazard of knowing you guys, I think. So the next thing I read was a series called Bakuman, which is, you guys know this?
No.
It's a series by the creators of the incredibly popular and actually surprisingly quite good Death Note, which was a series that was hugely popular about a guy, well, condensing the plot of Death Note is a show in itself, but the essence is one guy finds out that if he writes somebody's name in a book, he can kill them. And instead of just being quite like and then he does this and this, it turns into this huge socio-geographical exploration of the nature of humanity and what people will do to each other. And it stopped incredibly quickly. It only runs like 12 volumes, which as far as I can work out is actually quite short for a manga, is that right? I mean, I've seen things like Dragon Ball Z where, you know, there's a whole bookshelf just dedicated to all the spin-offs of it.
No idea.
But Death Note, okay, if you haven't seen Death Note, it's really good. It kind of lags in the middle, but once it gets going again and all the mythological creatures who are completely immoral get involved again, it becomes fascinating. Bakuman, I kind of thought, well, that seems to be the guy's groove, you know, in the same way that Brian Wood tends to write about cool New York teenagers. So Demo and the New York 5 and Channel Zero aren't actually that dissimilar. But no, Bakuman is completely not anything to do with that. It's about two guys who hang out at school, and one of them goads the other one into being a manga comic creator, And it's essentially a really funny story exploring the actual business of creating a manga and selling it to a publisher, and how the whole system of voting and creating a name and creating genres and understanding how those work goes. And it's very similar to, very, very similar to Even a Monkey Can Draw Manga, but not quite as frankly disturbing. But yeah, Bakuman, really, really enjoyed it, and I was kind of happy to have something that doesn't have somebody punching themselves in it.
Sure.
Third thing, speaking about dubious books.
Please bring up what I think you're going to bring up.
Black Kiss 2.
Oh.
Oh, that's actually what I wanted you to bring up.
That's what Sif said.
That's why. Yeah. Go on,
Anybody
Dev.
Black Kiss 2 before I venture?
I never got a chance to read it because it's not allowed to be shipped in England.
This is true. Issue 1 made it through Customs and Excise, and I think an advanced copy made it to HM's Customs and Excise readers in the UK. I don't know. I know there are some shops selling issues 2 to 6. I know there are some dealers at comic marts selling those issues as well. But on the whole, most shops will tell you quite rightly it is a comic banned in this country by HM Customs and Excise because, frankly, it's filth. There's no way around this. It's a very intelligent story, but in the very first issue, a transsexual hermaphrodite succubi sexually assaults an actor from the Cotswolds on the Titanic. And it all just gets worse from there. Basically, I don't want to give a spoiler so much because the story is worth reading and it's very plot intensive, but it's essentially the events of the characters affected by the initial sexual assault throughout history. And it's Howard Chaykin, I should have said very early on. It's written by and drawn by Howard Chaykin, who's also responsible for Power and Glory and American Flag, a number of Marvel and DC books. He also did the Shadow revival in the mid-80s that made Harlan Ellison cry, so that was worth it. It's great stuff. There's no way you're not going to find it offensive in some way or other. Even I was kind of like, wow, Howard, really? Is this what's happening? The thing I thought was, this is probably the kind of thing that makes people offended and makes them think, well, this sends out the wrong message about this type of person and that type of person. And the thing I thought about that was, I don't think any comic or any bit of art sends out a message. I think what it probably does is confirm a notion in somebody's brain, right? It could be argued because the female protagonists are quite promiscuous, it could add to the whole, woman as whore motive. And I thought, well, in the same way that as a kid, when I saw Luke Cage, I never thought all black men were Luke Cage. I don't think all women are the character in this comic. I just think there is a character in this comic who acts like that. And I can see why it's banned by HM Customs and Excise. I don't care. I don't think we should be in a world where we can be offended by some words on paper in 2013. I really recommend reading it if you can find a copy, but obviously remember you will probably be offended if you have any problems with sexual situations in comics. In which case you probably shouldn't be reading anything anyway. That's what I think of Black Kiss 2. Guys, I think we're on Cup of Frank Quietly Superior Spider-Man.
Yep. Fee, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Rev up. Let it out, girl.
Yeah, right. I think we better let Fee start with this.
Okay. So, for some, I think the events of this comic will have come as a surprise. For others, like me, it wasn't actually a surprise. I had guessed that this is coming. So, spoilers, everybody, spoilers. Superior Spider-Man number 9. If you haven't read it, as I say every week, press pause, go away, read it, come back.
So you're encouraging people to read Superior Spider-Man 9, is that what you're saying?
I'm telling people to go and read it. I'll never ever tell anybody not to read anything, even if it's rubbish. Everybody has to go away and read things and, make their own opinions and come up with their own opinions. But now, I'm trying to stay calm.
She's trying to be fair.
Yeah, in this issue, so last issue, Spock figured out that Peter's brainwaves were still there, were still lurking in the background, and went off on a mission to try and delete Peter from his brain. So this issue basically is Spock trying to do that, trying to get rid of Peter once and for all. So it's actually a very well crafted issue. It's very well done. I like what Dan Slott's done. It's very clever. It was predictable for me anyway. As I said, there was an announcement a few weeks ago, where, they'd said, look, if you got angry by what happened in Amazing 700, then you were going to be even angrier by what happens in Superior 9. So the minute that I heard that announcement, I was like, right, here we go. We're going to be getting rid of Peter once and for all. So everybody who like me, who was appeased a little bit by him being there at the beginning, is now going to go off on a massive rant and a rage because, you know, Peter's going to be gone. And that's exactly what happens. Spock apparently succeeds in deleting Peter's presence from his brain. So Peter really is no more. Or is he? We have to wait until issue 10 to find out. It was, you know, I mean, I think, you know, I know you guys all thought that my head was going to explode, over this, but as I said,
I really did.
Yeah, I think because, as I said, I knew it was coming. I highly suspected it was coming. So I'm, you know, I'm not sure how I'm going to feel now about, because having Peter around in his ghost form was sort of like enough to keep me there. Now, if he really has truly gone, I'm not sure how I'm going to be getting on with this series, because whilst it's been a fun ride and everything, I am sort of like really getting annoyed now by Spock sort of talking like he stepped out of 1963 all of the time. It's just getting a bit irritating, but...
What, Jack Kerouac?
Yeah. No, it just this, you know, the whole, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to let one of you take over now.
Do you know what? I'll come in last because I have a bunch of things. Go on, boys.
Well, I haven't actually read it, but of course I know what happens. So, he'll be back. That's all I can say.
Right, we all know he's going to be back. Some people are a bit disappointed this never happened sooner. Some people are happy it happens now. For me, I really like the issue. I really like the way it was handled. Happened in some mind it happened in. I guess it was Doc Ock's mind. But
well, it's a shared mind, really.
It's a shared mind, so what happens in both their minds? There was a whole scene in there that kind of made me, for a split second I thought he was going to undo it, or was when Peter was on his, like, you know, he's getting beaten down, and then he starts going, well, this isn't just, you know, it's not all about me, Peter Parker, and then starts remembering people like Aunt May and Captain Stacy and Gwen Stacy and Flash Thompson. And you know that classic thing in comics where it's like, you just start remembering like everyone around them, and then, you know, they fight through this impossible fight and they come through because of the people back them up. I genuinely thought for a second that Dan Slott was going to play that card, and then it was going to go, and now Peter's back, or now Peter's going to stay around for a bit longer. And then he went, no, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen like it normally does. It's gone. He's gone. See you later. Which makes me really intrigued of how he's going to bring Peter back, because that is always the way. It's always the way how someone wins, is I've got to do it for this person or that person or this person. I'm looking forward to it. I like Dr. Octopus. He's never been, you know, okay, he's there. Yeah, I like the issue. I'll stick around for issue, what was this, issue 9?
Issue 9 got published, yeah.
I keep thinking it was 10. I'll stick around for issue 10 and possibly 11 just to see. I'm more curious to how long this new / old / weird status quo will last. I was talking to Fee the other day, and she reckons it could go on until next year when the Amazing Spider-Man film happens. Whereas I think it might be a lot sooner. I think, but by the end of the summer, we'll have Peter Parker.
Well, has Spock actually been found out by anybody else yet?
No, this is the weird thing. There was
there's suspicions knocking around, especially with Carly, but nobody's
Yeah,
actually.
Carly knows that it's not. Carly knows that something is.
the Avengers think there's something up as well.
Yeah. But I really do think it could go on for quite some time. I really do. We've just had so Avenging Spider-Man has just been replaced with Superior Spider-Man Team Up. Mm-hmm. So I think Avenging Spider-Man 22 I think is the last one, and then that gets taken over by Superior Spider-Man Team Up. So if they're just launching that series, then they must have a plan for that. That's gonna have a few issues to run. So I think it's gonna be a while yet.
I have a couple of theories knocking around. One theory is that we've seen Doc Ock encounter pretty much all of his old allies / Spider-Man's enemies, but we haven't seen the Venom suit or his Venom family. So I'm thinking there might be something to do. There might be a reason behind that, especially when Venom's got his own book and he's in everywhere else lately. And also, I have a feeling that, I wouldn't be surprised if the Peter Parker's return happened in the Superior Spider-Man team up rather than the main title. Because if you're going to team him up with everyone that, like, Spider-Man is friends with, I said to you, Fee, that maybe, it won't be Peter Parker that comes back through his own memories. It'll be everyone else's memory of Peter Parker. Yeah. And they would basically play the same card as normal, but in reverse.
I can see something in that idea. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think what Dan Slott's doing at the moment is it's pretty good. He's showing he's not just the head Spider-Man writer for no reason.
Okay. Well, a few things spring to mind. First off, with the exception of the fact that obviously some people are reacting way, way out of whack to this. I mean, I don't know if you guys all follow Dan Slott on Twitter, and the day his Superior Spider-Man 9 was released, he was retweeting some of the abuse he was getting, and I was like, are you people out of your mind? Like, is this actually your genuine response to a fictional comic character possibly dying? And not even a real actual death, but, a corporate trademark owned by Marvel who is never gonna die. There's never gonna be a comic released where a month that goes by where Peter Parker is not in a comic. Even if he's not in Superior, even if he's not in Superior Team Up, even if he's not in Tales of Superior Dog's pet food shopping list, he's in Ultimate Spider-Man. There will always be a Peter Parker comic out there.
But he's not in Ultimate Spider-Man.
No, the good Ultimate Spider-Man, not the Miles Morales Spider-Man.
Oh, right, okay.
The one based on the cartoon, not the Ultimate Universe that hasn't died yet, but please get that over with, because it's now just Earth 2 with Roy Thomas. Please get over this, please, please, please. Anyway, so I do think the reactions of the general public are ludicrous. I think there's such imbalance to the reaction, and also a ridiculous sense of entitlement that, nobody except Marvel owns these characters. So there isn't actually any opinion beyond entitlement over what Marvel can do with them. Do you know what I mean? It's like if you said to me, this is what I think you should do with painting your wall. I could say, I appreciate your opinion, but it is essentially my wall. So I'm going to do whatever I want with it. So, with that said, calm down, Spider-Man fans, because it is just a fictional concept, and there are 50 years of Peter Parker comics you can go back and reread at any time you want and get the adventures of Pete there. It's not actually a religion, it's a fictional corporate character. Get some balance. Anyway, it's pretty easy to get Pete back, because, as someone pointed out, first appearance of Spock Spidey outside of Superior Spider-Man, Miles Warren shows up, who, speaking of sex, has been obsessed with Peter Parker's DNA since the 1970s. Has it all on file, so can reclaim Pete whenever he wants. I actually thought the way out was to bring back Ben Reilly, because that way you've got a Pete back, and he's not laden down with all of the marriage problem, which was the original reason for bringing up Ben Reilly in the first place, which was, this is a Spider-Man before marriage, and there's no messy divorce or Mephisto business. Pretty easy to bring back, because as we've seen in the 90s, it's pretty easy to clone Peter Parker. Boom! He's back. job done. Peter Parker has his own book. You can do that whenever you want. The only problem is, why would you? Short of appeasing the fans who will, there is a groundswell of people who will buy Spider-Man regardless of what happens in the comic. There will be people who say, I'm never buying this again. But they will. Because it's like a almost instinctive, habitual response. They may not like the fact of what's going on in Spider-Man, but they will buy Spider-Man and it will be on their standing order and they'll make some noise on the internet and then the next issue will come out and they'll buy that anyway. But all the story potential of what Spock can do in the Marvel Universe and, the thousands of characters that he can interact with and new situations, to me that's so much more interesting than just we know what's going to happen. At some point there's going to be a 5-issue miniseries or a 7-issue miniseries and it will be the great return of Peter Parker and then the end page will be Pete swinging through the air dressed as Spider-Man over New York City and it will be captioned, with great power comes great responsibility. Woo, Pete's back. Boom, job done. And we know that's going to happen, but why do it so quickly? Why not explore the potential and the interesting stuff? Because the thing that makes me like comics, especially Spider-Man, more than any time in the last 25 years, is that I don't know what's going to happen. And to me, that's far more interesting than having the comfort of knowing that Peter's there. Because, I've got shelves full of Peter Parker Spider-Man comics. If I want to hang out with Pete, I can go over to my bookshelf. If I can get a new interesting Spider-Man experience, I have to go to the shop and read what happens next. And Dan Slott's done a really good job with this. You can say it's abhorrent, you can say it's offensive, but you cannot say it's not well written.
That's a fair point. That's what I think.
What people should do is stop giving abuse to creators. Just stop that in general. If you're upset, just don't go giving threats or abuse to a man that wrote the book. Just because he wrote the book, it's a book. Doesn't need abuse. Although saying that, Bendis, you killed Hank Pym. You better watch your Twitter account. See, I don't go and abuse it.
Who's Hank Pym?
I don't know, he doesn't exist anymore because he died.
Was there? There was some kid who was in the Avengers and then he had a bit of a and some fellow killed him.
Yeah, some little hairy guy killed him.
Ultron.
No, there was no Ultron. Who's Ultron? No one knows. Actually, you know what's saying all this? Now there's no more Ultron, right? Can we stop Age of Ultron?
Speaking of which, have you read issue 7? Has everybody read issue 7?
I have.
Yeah, but I thought I was reading, but I appeared to be reading House of M, issue 2. In which Wolverine, the blonde-haired companion, wake up in an alternate Marvel universe where something dramatic has happened, runs through New York, faces an alternate timeline version of the Marvel characters, who are really scared of, scary analogy for communist terrorists of the day, find out that someone who shouldn't be in charge is, and then run away. Apparently it was Age of Ultron 7, but I thought it was a plot of House of M 2. Who knew?
Lots of things got set up between issues 1 to 5/6 because 6 wasn't really part of the whole, what I'm just going to say. With the Age of Ultron being in the future, using Vision as a vessel, loads of questions and ideas and stuff got brought up that have seemed to have been erased with issue 6 and then ignored with issue 7. It seems you've got 3 issues left of this. Is there only 10 issues?
Yeah, 10.
Yeah, so you've got 10 issues, you've got 3 issues left, and now you've got, within those 3 issues, undo everything that has happened with this weird alternate what-if universe, and undo the Age of Ultron stuff. Dan brought it up, and I agree with him that by the end of this series, it's going to be the thing that Dan Slott hates the most of, go back in time, none of this happened. None of it existed. There was no Age of Ultron. They stopped Ultron before the Age of Ultron. Everything goes back to normal. The only one that can remember it is whatever Wally West. He's the only one that can remember it.
Wally West?
Yeah, it's going to be that weird that it's going to stretch to the DC universe. Also, there's that Cyclops in that book. I don't think it's Cyclops. I think that's Cable. So he's got the one eye, and right. Yeah, so you can hate him a little less.
Okay.
I don't want to. What if? If I wanted a what if, I'd go read the what ifs.
Yeah, I thought it was rubbish.
And this isn't even good what if.
Yeah, it was like a rubbish what if. That was my first thought. when I got towards the end. Well, I had two thoughts. One, this is like a really crap what if. And two, like, why are we saying, we've already seen Tony Stark arsehole, have we not? So what, do we need to see Tony Stark arsehole in an alternate universe? Do we need to see that again? Really? Been
in this
there,
whole issue,
done that.
there was mentions of things that happened in this universe, like, oh, Sue Storm and Reed Richards haven't been on Earth for years, and this has happened. Like, why are you making more questions? Why are you giving us more things, like leads to follow and stuff? Maybe he wants to come back to them, but for the moment, I don't care about them. I picked up Age of Ultron, now we've got, as Nev said, House of M.2. I don't know. The art was alright. I like the art. I can't remember who was on it.
Go along with that.
It was better than Brian Hitch's art, Brian Hitch started off well on that series, but alright. I don't need a lazy art Luke Cage.
She got Brandon Peterson on that issue.
Brandon Peterson, that's it. That was really nice. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Next issue, it might get pulled back together. He's only got 3 issues to start pulling things in and tying up those loose ends. But I just wanted to see Ultron beat some people up. It's a summer blockbuster. I wanted to just see that. I wanted to see a big action thing, and then after it go, right, let's read some other books. We're not even getting that. I prefer what.
I suppose you'll just have to wait and see, you know.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a wait and see. But just to say, I preferred the What If where Jack Kirby and the other bullpen people were the Fantastic Four.
Oh, that's a great issue.
Give me that universe. Don't give me this one. That would have been better if Wolverine killed Hank Pym, come back to the present, and Jack Kirby was the Thing. Yeah. And Jack Kirby was the Thing smoking a cigar. With just his face exposed as human.
Oh, speaking of Ben Grimm, did you guys read A+X with the great poker issue between Gambit and the Thing?
I didn't, no.
It's just a really nice little short story scam issue. I've been quite into poker recently because reasons, but yeah, it's A+X issue 8, I think. It's just a really good comic.
That seems to be quite a nice little fun series.
It's great fun, yeah.
I don't think they should be calling it A+X because people have had enough of the whole AVX, A+X, A and X, A minus X.
Not in terms of sales figures, they haven't.
Well, you could sell that book as something else. Just call it Marvel Team Up. People would still sell it, buy it.
Oh, please.
Call it Marvel Team Up.
We never need to resurrect the notion of Marvel Team Up again. Trust me.
Yeah, you do. Marvel Team Up.
We never want to see Marvel Team Up again. I would love to see Marvel Triple Action again. Or any of the Marvel porno title team-up comics that they used to come up with.
Well, let's just do it. There should be more team-up books. They've got a Superior Spider-Man team-up, this A+X. And I think the new Wolverine book, the Savage Wolverine's got to be a team-up book, right?
If he lives that long. Allegedly.
Yeah, he might not even live.
He might not even live. Might just have to cancel it.
That's not a bad thing, because he killed Hank Pym, so... What?
No, there never was a Hank Pym, Bertie. I don't know who you're talking about.
God, yeah. That giant guy, I can't remember who it was. Oh. Anyway, let's move on.
Did anybody catch the Peter Palmer joke in Superior Spider-Man?
Yeah, it was very good. Very funny.
When you reminded me of it, I went back and saw it. And I do remember the scene where he's losing all his memories and he says, Peter Palmer, because Stan Lee doesn't even know Peter Parker's name.
Yeah.
So he calls him Peter Palmer.
It's almost as if Stan Lee had very little to do with the creation of Spider-Man, isn't it? Allegedly, Your Honour.
Yep.
So what did you guys get from Free Comic Book Day?
I got some free comics. There we go. No, I picked up, Infinity, which was, Infinity is basically, I'm going to assume, because I had no idea, I picked it up because I saw Thanos on the cover, and I've recently kind of had a bit of a thing for Thanos. As Bert will tell you, I have phases. So I go from one big giant, villain to another. So I picked it up, like, just seeing Thanos, not knowing what I was expecting. And spoilers everybody, what I got was Thanos kidnaps a bunch of kids.
Alien kids.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if they're aliens.
It's a lot funnier than it should be.
Yeah, first of all, a little bit of help here. What has happened to Thanos prior to what I just read?
He died.
That would have been reading a Jim Starlin comic about Thanos, and frankly, my life is short enough to work like that out.
I don't know how much of a spoiler this is, but you've asked, so I'm going to warn you and there's spoilers to others.
Okay, is that when Thanos was killed by Drax?
No, I don't know who was involved in it, but I know he got pulled into a universe called the Cancerverse, and he got pulled in with himself, Nova, the old Nova, Richard Rider, and Star-Lord, who is currently in Guardians of the Galaxy. And he was never seen since.
Okie doke. Alright then, well, this is, I'm going to assume, Thanos' big return. And, he has his herald, who goes to this planet that Thanos, previously, I'm assuming, ravaged. And this guy shows up, and they're all ready for a fight. And the guy's like, seriously, Thanos destroyed your planet before. So don't do it. Like, all he wants is a tribute. And, it turns out that tribute, is, I'm going to assume, the entire planet's children. In some form of stasis. And then it ends with Thanos just grinning.
Yeah, it was sorry, go on, dude.
It left a lot to kind of, it left me kind of wanting more.
That was the whole point of the free issue, is that it teases. It was a very quick issue, because it had, this story did have, this book had two other stories. But, I would much rather, where have you been Thanos sort of thing, rather than, what are you doing Thanos? Just because the whole Peter Quill returning and Thanos returning, out of notice, it feels like they're ignoring the Dan Abnett, Andy Lanning Guardians of the Galaxy. Which big things happened. Big things that put the characters they're using in their places that they're using them in right now. And it seems like to me they're ignoring it. But I enjoyed the issue. Jimmy Chung's art I think he's like right up there with my top favourite artists. Even though some of his faces do look the same. It's really strange when Thanos' face looks just like the Hulk's face.
It's not a cup of soup thing though, so.
It's not, no, there's only one Frank Quietly cup of soup. This can be, Jimmy Chung's, super noodles.
Yeah. Okie doke. But yeah, no, that was, that's my pick from, Free Comic Book Day. The other things I picked up was a Star Wars title because it had Star Wars on the cover. Which is, if Darth Vader was Batman?
No way, really?
Darth Vader is Batman.
Yeah, no,
and I know he came after, but he might as well be Batman.
You can, it's not really particularly interesting. It's, somebody tries to assassinate Darth Vader flies out into space, turns out you can't kill him that way, and then he jumps in through a window and breaks somebody's neck.
Yep, and then he presses a button on his chest.
Yeah, and he starts making weird sounds.
I have the power! That's the song. And he does like some dance move or something. It was a really strange issue.
Are you really telling me Darth Vader broke out into song in Free Comic Book Day? Because I will love you forever. I will buy it.
No, it didn't actually happen. However, every time I see Darth Vader,
it didn't happen.
Yeah, every time I see Vader press a button on his chest, I'm
just expect music to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Darth Vader doing karaoke is now my new favourite thing in the universe. I think that's our next hashtag after That's What Sif Said.
That's what Sif said. That's Frank Quietly Cup of Soup. That's what Sif said. And Darth Vader karaoke. Everyone, hashtag that. Spread the word. I want to quickly say actually, in that Infinity book, there was a story right at the end, written by Warren Ellis. He seems to be back on Avengers and in Marvel again, and it's a story following Iron Man 4 and Captain America. Only the first few pages of the actual first issue, but I really want this book. The idea of Warren Ellis writing anything appeals to me highly, but the fact that he's back in Marvel, I mean, his Secret Avengers stuff, the handful of issues he did was amazing. So I'm really happy he's back on this, and it's Mike McKone art as well. You can't go wrong with that.
Well, I like Mike McKone.
Yeah, I like him as well. It was really good. The stuff I read, I didn't get too much, but I did get, I don't know who published it. I didn't actually see. I don't recognise the logo either. It was a French, book, translated into English, and on the front it was called Killer Man, but it has two stories in it adapted from two different graphic novels. The first story is a Western, and it's all black and white, watercolour, well not watercolour, it's water black and white paint. It was really, really fun, like old school Western, but then the backup story was again black and white, but it seemed like, I don't know what it was, but it seemed like a really creepy, suspense thriller set on an island of this couple coming from Los Angeles to this little Hawaiian island somewhere, or an island in the Pacific, but the island seems to have secrets, and really eerie, and it was only a really brief story as well, but I got so much from it. I'm going to actually keep my eye out for this. Really beautiful art. So just look out for a book. I'm guessing it's going to be called Killer Man. I can't tell you the artists' names or the creators' names at the moment because I don't have the book near me. But just look out for it. Killer Man. Free Comic Book Day 2013. Really, really good. Beautiful though. I think, Nevs, you flicked through it actually.
I thought it was great looking.
Yeah, really nice looking. But yeah, what about you guys? What did you get, Fee and Nevs?
Go on, Fee.
Well, I got Infinity as well, but, I haven't read it yet because I have this grandiose plan that I was going to read everything to do with Thanos, starting from Drax the Destroyer onwards, which I have it all, and I was going to read it all in order because I've read bits of Annihilation and Annihilation Conquest and Thanos Imperative and stuff like that, but I've read sort of like a few issues here and there, and I haven't read everything in order. So I was going to start with Drax the Destroyer, and then go on to Thanos, and then Annihilation.
Oh, definitely.
Annihilation Conquest, Guardians of the Galaxy again, which I kind of already have read, but the Thanos Imperative, and then start with the new Guardians of the Galaxy, Thanos Rising, and then into Infinity. But obviously, I need Infinity to be able to actually find the time to be able to read all of these. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to I don't know if I'm going to be able to read them all before Infinity starts, but that's my plan anyway. So that's why I haven't read it yet.
If you want to read it, don't read Avengers Forever for about a month, and you'll have the time.
me and Bertie have been reading. We've been reading Avengers Forever.
We've been trying.
Yeah, and I don't know if anybody else has read this, but it's so many words, just so many words. Make sure you have enough time in your life to be able to devote to read Avengers Forever. It's good though.
Yeah, it's really good, but I started it when I was 15. 6 years later, I still haven't finished it, okay?
I'm not even halfway through. I've been reading it for about 6 months. But we'll get there, and when we do get there, when we've both finished, we'll talk to you about it. But, and then the other thing I got was, Hulk and the Agents of Smash, which is, like a preview, sort of like a lead on to the new, animation series coming in August. But, I haven't read that yet either, so I can't really talk about it.
Okay.
Right, well, I managed to blag one more besides the one you managed to very kindly blag me, Betty.
Nice.
Which was the Judge Dredd Classics.
Okay.
Being old, really old, like listeners, you should see me, I'm a decrepit old man, basically held together by wires and a stick. I remember the original publications that Judge Dredd Classics are doing now, and this one shot, which is stuff that should always be in print, is the stuff that IDW now has the rights to in the US territories, is the first appearances as Judge Death and the early Walter the Wobot issues. And they were all issues that were drawn by Brian Bolland, and they were free. And I assume that everybody knows about this stuff, but it does occur to me that I could be wrong about this. Have you guys read the early Judge Dredd stuff?
I haven't read, but all the Brian Bolland stuff I have just poured my eyes over, but I haven't read any of it yet. I do love the look of, I'll probably only read that stuff.
I've done a few bits and pieces here and there.
Alright. Lucas, I'm not going to bother asking.
Yep, don't.
So, I also got the Dark Horse one because Bertie's a nice bloke, and is literally half good and half bad. It's half bad because I've had really intelligent people whose opinions I love and respect, tell me that Mass Effect is good, and I genuinely don't see it. I've really tried, and all I can see whenever I try and have anything to do with Mass Effect as a game or as a comic is meetings in space. Every time, just like, here's some people hanging about, walking around in a corridor, but it's in space.
Alright, Nevs.
So when I before, I try,
Pachow.
That's the second week in a row you've been told to
Yep,
shush.
second week.
I know it's a really popular thing. I also know Star Trek's a popular thing, and I don't care about that. I know Transformers is a popular thing. I don't care about that. I know Lord of the Rings is a popular thing. Don't care about that. I tried to read the Mass Effect comic. I genuinely did, and I lost interest 8 pages into a free comic. That's how much I didn't care. It wasn't even that it was bad. It was just the subject matter has nothing for me. And to be honest, I was doing the whole, like, donkey for the carrot thing, where I was like, if I read this story first, I'll be more excited for when I actually flip the book over and start reading R.I.P.D., which was great. Did you guys read the R.I.P.D. story?
That's cruel because you know I didn't pick up that book.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought
That's evil, man.
But R.I.P.D. isn't the first appearance of those guys. Like, there have been other comics that they've appeared.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's not like their
Okay.
debut.
Alright.
The R.I.P.D. story appears to be a story about basically 2 guys who are a detective agency, but instead of hunting down lost husbands or doing a Repo Man thing, they chase criminal ghosts. And it's really cool. It's just like, it's kind of like the Maze Agency for the older listeners out there, but so beautifully drawn. And the short story is great, but it's not the main event of the book, obviously, which is the Gerard Way and Becky Cloonan thing. Oh, we shouldn't say the thing about Becky Cloonan yet. Listeners, we'll have an announcement about Becky Cloonan soon. What's this thing called? The True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys. Lucas, I know you've read this, right?
No, I haven't.
Lucas.
Lucas doesn't read anything that doesn't have anything to do with video game or Batman in it.
No, I do, okay, but I read Mass Effect, and I completely forgot there was something at the back of it, and I was quite disappointed with Mass Effect, so I put the comic down.
That's understandable.
Fee, did you get to have a look?
No, I didn't. No.
Okay.
It's a one-man comic review, Nevs. Go. You go, girl.
Thank you, darling. The best thing I've ever seen reviewed in a comic is a thing that Warren Ellis said about a humanoids comic called The Meta Barons, and his review was essentially a new and mad idea on every page. And that is, like, the thing I hold for every comic. Are there enough ideas that could be sustained to create other properties out of this? And are those ideas interesting and engaging? In this case, you could literally, if you knew what you were doing, pluck a sentence out of every page of this 10-page short story and make a comic out of it. I really don't want to like it because it's by Gerard Way, and I know he means really well. He's a really nice bloke. For me, My Chemical Romance are like, I can't listen to them. The only time I like them is when they cover other people's bands, you know what I mean? So I know they broke up, and I'm sure that was quite sad for some people. But I think he's a really good comic writer. I thought The Umbrella Academy was great fun, and he's just done it again. And obviously, we all love Becky. She draws everything brilliantly. She writes great comics, and this is just her being awesome again. So, there is a preview of The True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys available on Dark Horse Digital. So if you didn't manage to get a copy of the free comic book comic, you can go have a look at a different story over on Dark Horse Digital.
I really wanted that book just for that one story. I'm really glad it's good. The big announcement is that me and Becky Cloonan are getting married.
Is that true?
What, we're getting married?
You should probably check before you say online.
What, do we get married? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Didn't you say you was gonna be the priest?
I would happily be a priest.
There you go.
Let's be a priest.
You was gonna marry us. Lucas was gonna be my bridesmaid.
Yep, definitely. I had a dress picked out and everything.
If this isn't gonna happen, then Lucas needs a refund.
It is very feminine and lovely.
Lucas, if this wedding doesn't happen, I don't know how you're gonna get your money back for that dress.
Should we move?
Let's move on.
Yeah. I'm a bit gutted now that this wedding might not be going through, so
you're not the only one. Now let's move on. What are we moving on to?
Questions, I imagine.
Questions.
Yes.
Question we need question theme music if this is going to be a thing.
Well, I will do the theme music, you know.
Go on then.
I'm just going to say question time.
Nice.
Yeah, maybe don't do that again.
Don't do that again?
Yeah, no, don't do that again.
Okay. Well, shot down twice in one episode.
The adults are speaking, Lucas. Stop talking.
Yeah.
That's 3 times.
To be fair, right, I'm older than Bart.
He actually is.
Physically.
He is actually older than me. He just, he feeds on the souls of, old people, so he stays young.
Yeah, Bert is my next younger.
Could we move on to questions, or?
Yeah, we can move on to questions now. It's okay, you're allowed.
Rowing.
Okay. Right, moving on. I've got quite a few questions this week. So, let's start with this one from, Last Cyberpunk, on Twitter. And he says, which superheroes could beat Dr. Manhattan in a fight?
Ooh.
Does it have to be heroes?
Yeah, that's the question.
Damn it! God! Oh,
All
Batman,
right.
because Batman plans for everything. But no. Has anybody else got any kind of
Yeah,
like
I've got
powers
one.
like counter?
I've got an answer, but, yeah.
I've got an answer.
Go on, Bertie.
Captain Atom, the person he's originally based on. Just because he is Dr. Manhattan. Done. I'll win. 100 points to me.
I'm in charge of this point system.
I don't feel, man. Alright.
50 points to you.
Hey. Go on then.
See your Captain Atom. I'm going to raise you Charlton Comics.
The whole comics, not just Captain Atom from
Charlton Comics, because, as we all know, those characters were based on DC characters on Charlton characters in the first place. Therefore, Dick Giordano, who was one of the editors at Charlton Comics, could totally have Dr. Manhattan. And also, the Beyonder.
Oh,
500 points to Nevs.
The Beyonder,
Oh,
reality-shaping loony mutant.
Right, let me just say, I'll get 50 points, right? I'll get 50 points for saying Captain Atom, who is from Charlton Comics. Nevs gets 500 for saying not only a cheap version of my answer, but just the Beyonder. The mullet wearing Beyonder.
I kind of gave him those points just to spite you. So,
Whatever.
500 points to Bert.
They were horrible to you just now. They were both horrible to you just now, and you just gave them 500 points.
You started it.
Alright, whatever.
What's the
Anyway,
next question?
Okay.
that's just question one, guys.
Okay. Next question. This one, it says, do you have any favourite superhero cartoons? So if so, what are they?
Wow.
That's hard.
Loads. Just one. Two. Batman, the animated series. Like, hands down, that was my childhood. I still watch it today. Justice League Unlimited, once again, childhood cartoon, still watching it today. And Batman Beyond.
They're good ones. I'm gonna add on to that, pretty much similar, but also the X-Men and the Spider-Man from the 90s, because that is...
Oh yeah, definitely the Spider-Man original show.
Yeah, they, if it wasn't for either of those, I wouldn't have got into comics. Side note, when me and my, friends used to Let's Play X-Men, I was always lumbered with being Cyclops.
Oh, poor you.
I know. Everyone was Wolverine and Beast and Gambit and Nightcrawler. I had to be Cyclops. I had to be the man that had to stand there and poke the side of his head. And if I didn't poke the side of my head, I didn't kill anyone.
Oh dear. Has that scarred you for life?
Yeah, this is why I start on Lucas all the time, because
You remind you of Cyclops?
just reminds me of my childhood of
I don't get
friends.
how I remind you of your childhood or Cyclops. However,
Friends just being horrible to me. I don't know. I just blame you for everything, Lucas. Shut up.
Still more childhood trauma. Okay. So, I'm going to kick in with two. One is a 1960s Spider-Man cartoon, which gave the world the Spider-Man theme tune, which I'm not singing
course.
out, but you all know exactly what I mean.
of
should get it to
course,
play out.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. I'm done now.
Shoots his webs at his arse.
And the second one is the best, parody of superhero comics that nobody noticed they were even parodying in the
I
first
bet
place.
I know what you're gonna say.
Go on, Luke, Bertie, hit me
Are
with
you gonna say the Tick?
I am not, because
Oh.
that was designed as a parody, and my answer was not actually meant to be a parody, but the writers blagged their way through it. And there's
Okay.
people who are into comics who actually went, hang on, you're taking the mickey out of this. And that was a 1990s Darkwing Duck comic.
Oh, Darkwing
sorry.
Duck.
It was great, and also the amount of stories where they just went, we're going to take the mickey out of Death of the Family by Batman now. You're like,
Yeah,
did you just do that? Oh, I guess I did. It's Saturday morning.
I love
So yeah,
Darkwing
those are my
Duck.
answers. Next question before Lucas starts singing again. Come on.
Next
Next question.
Too late!
Can I answer the last one? Do I
Fee never got to answer.
Oh yeah, go on, Fee. Go.
My favourite, other than the 60s Spider-Man, which Nev's just mentioned, is Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. I love that. Even though it makes actually no sense whatsoever.
Is it because Wolverine's Australian?
Yeah. Yes! One reason. There's that, and it's Spider-Man and Iceman. Why?
Yeah.
And Firestar, who was just invented for the show.
She did end up getting introduced later on.
She did, yeah. But it's just my favourite just because it reminds me of, coming home from school and sitting down and watching it. So that's my favourite.
Did you see the episode where the Green Goblin decides he's going to turn all of New York into little green goblins by poisoning the water supply?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Who needs to kill someone's girlfriends when you can just, turn people into mini versions of yourself?
Yeah, it's amazing. I've got them all on DVD.
I'm not even vaguely surprised, Fee.
I need to sit down and watch them all again.
They should have kept Wolverine Australian. That would have been so much better.
Yeah, if anyone hasn't watched that, there's loads of it out there on YouTube. So, look it up. Right. Next one this is from Unlikely Nerd on Twitter. And he asks, in your opinion, what are the best 5 monthly books on the shelves right now? So that's your top 5, from everybody, please.
Okay.
When you say monthly, do you mean ongoing or like minis that are coming out on a monthly as well? Can we throw one of those in there?
Yeah, you can throw one of those in there. I will allow it.
Thank you, Fee. You're a lovely person.
No worries.
I thought she was about to say, no, I'm not.
Alright. Who wants to start this one? Who wants to start? Anyone? I can start if you don't mind, or you start. Yeah, you start.
I think this is going to be maybe conflicted, so I'll let you guys start.
Alright, I'll start.
You like comics, go on.
Oh, for you start. Ladies first.
No, but you go first. I'm just finalising my final one. Right,
it's going to be a bit of... I can't make lists without changing my mind, so I'm just going to ramble some off. This is in no order. I would say The Sixth Gun by Cullen Bunn and Brian Hurt from Only Press, which I always talk about all the time. Hawkeye, as we always talk about by Fraction and Aja. I'm going to say Journey into Mystery by Catherine Immonen and by Catherine, old Kath, and Valerio that Valerio guy. I don't want to say his last name either because I think it's actually shitty, but I don't want to say his name shitty if it's not shitty because it's an insult. 2 more. Saga from Image. Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples, bloody brilliant. And 1 more just for funsies, Batman, Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo.
Yes, there's one I can agree on. Oh, and Saga. Definitely Saga.
There we go. That's my 5 off the top of my head, but it's always changing, so.
Alright. Mine are, well, no surprise that some of ours are similar, but mine are Hawkeye for sure. Saga, Cable and X-Force, which is, I've spoken about a couple of times on the show. Honestly, it's absolutely brilliant. And Young Avengers.
Oh my God, I've got Young Avengers.
Yeah. And do you know what? This will be a surprise. This is something that I've sort of changed my mind about 2 or 3 times. I'm going to say Avengers Arena. After the last issue, I am so back on board with that book. Because I was sort of losing interest a little bit. If anybody's listened to previous shows, you would have heard me whinging and saying it was just too Battle Royale and Hunger Games and stuff. But, the last issue was brilliant. Really, really good. It's definitely like turning into its own thing now. And I'm really interested in where it's going. So so that's my 5.
Wicked. Nevs?
Okay, I'm going to take a shot at this, but I'm not entirely sure if these comics are either monthly or even anything to do with regular, and this is not even my favourite 5, this is just 5 comics that I really like. So, there's The Goon from Dark Horse Comic, done by Eric. Spooky feedback. There's also Love and Rockets, which is, at this point, yearly, done by the brothers Hernandez. Which is always great, and they've got to the point where you can just put up any of their graphic novels and just go, yeah, that's genius, and blows away everything that happened this week. What have I got so far? The Goon, Love and Rockets, the Cal McDonald stories in whatever format they're being published by Dark Horse, because sometimes it's a one-shot, sometimes it's a 4-issue mini, sometimes it's like a series of short stories in Dark Horse Presents. You guys reading Cal McDonald?
No.
No? Really? Oh, it's great. It's basically angry alcoholic degenerate versus the underworld, whose best
Did
mate...
you say his name is Cal McDonald?
Cal McDonald, written by Steve Niles, who also...
Right, you've instantly sold me.
Cal McDonald, as in a
Please
beef
say-
burger called McDonald's.
Please tell me he has a mustache. Please.
He's got a goatee, he hasn't got a mustache.
That
but
counts!
He does...
Lucas is now going to read this.
Seriously, like, there's so much good Cal McDonald stories out there. Mars Attacks, which we all know I like Mars Attacks because I is going ack in any kind of thing. Is that 4?
Yeah.
One? Ooh, is there a 5th one? Is it? I'm gonna go with Deadpool.
Okay.
No,
so
no, I'm not. Deadpool's alright, but it's not as outrageously fun as Uncanny Avengers, because what happens in Deadpool, you kind of expect it to be ridiculous. Whereas Uncanny Avengers is meant to be a really serious comic, and it's drawn by really good people. But when you sit back and look at it, you go, hang on, this is madness. And every month there's like, I have no idea how you got away with doing this, but I love it. But these things only are there because there isn't currently a comic by Art Bizarre, because, you know, Superman Family Adventures ended, and that's a terrible thing, and...
you've got their, their Kickstarter.
I know, yeah, I know. I thought that, you know, Dinner Lady Darkseid was the greatest.
It was genius, it was.
Of the 21st century. Honestly, if DC just went, you know, we're pretty much cancelling everything and just putting out Dinner Lady Darkseid, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, it was.
And also
really
they should bring back Gully and March on Gotham City Sirens, because that was great and totally shamelessly fun.
There's so much, at the moment, right, it's thinking over my top 5. I can't actually ever do top 5s, I can't do top anything, it's because there's so much. Right, I didn't even get to say 4, I didn't get to say Captain Marvel, didn't get to say Uncanny Avengers, and that's just
Journey
Marvel.
into Mystery, we forgot that, right?
Which one?
Journey into Mystery.
I said Jim.
Did you say Jim?
Yeah, Catherine Imminum.
I'm sorry, I was too busy singing along with you.
It's alright, that's the new song. Imminum. Anyway, there's loads of good stuff. There's Image are doing loads of good stuff, like, I've been told 10 grand is good, but unfortunately that will never finish because it's, JMS. J. Michael Stinky.
Is that, the one that Ben Templesmith's drawing?
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be pretty good then. Templesmith, that's good stuff.
Loads of good stuff from everyone, every publisher, indie, mainstream, untold.
Others.
It's hard to do tops. Others, don't say others. I don't like saying others because it's like, they don't exist.
Lucas,
But, yeah, just others.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, go on.
We thought we'd get you to answer the question. Welcome to the show.
Once I kind of agree with Bert, it's so difficult to kind of put down a top 5, and like, I'm constantly changing. The one that always kind of stays there is Batman, but that's only because, you know, I like Batman. I'm with you guys on Saga, definitely. I've got to admit, Fee's probably gonna like this, but Hawkeye.
Hooray!
Yeah, after, well, reading the trade and a few other issues, definitely Hawkeye. There's no others I can really say for definite. It's constantly changing. I'm always reading kind of new stuff. I've only just finished reading Annihilation, but that's not ongoing, so.
Yeah. If you can't get a list out of Lucas because it's a hard question, like he's Mr. Lists. Okay. He's always rattling his top something, and if he can't even get one, then that just goes to show how much good stuff's out there that he just can't. Don't
also,
laugh at that.
See, the problem is with you guys, right? I'm constantly reading new things, right? I hear about this comic, I hear about that comic, you know, this, that. So I'm constantly reading new things. I'm like, wow, this is really good. Wow, this is a bit shit. You know, it's constantly changing.
Yeah, but as I said, you can't get one. I said it again just so that someone would say that's what Sif said. No one said
That's what Sif said.
Fudge, yeah,
Just edit Bert out.
Edit Bert, yeah. Edit it.
Oh dear. Right,
Is this
okay.
going to happen every week after I say something?
Probably.
Immature children.
Right, okay. Next question. Right, if Marvel DC expanded the Amalgam universe, What would the ultimate crossover be for you guys, from any publisher in comics, and who would write and draw it?
Oof.
But that's a big question, isn't it?
That's a big old question.
Can you just quickly repeat it for those of us who are deaf?
I will. Okay, if Marvel DC expanded the Amalgam Universe, what would the ultimate crossover be for you? And that is from any publisher in comics, and who would write and draw it?
So, for anyone that doesn't know, real quick, the Amalgam Universe is when DC and Marvel got their characters and combined them into two different characters. And, like, Darkclaw, and made them into one. So you had Wolverine, Batman, Darkclaw, you had Lobo the Duck, who was Lobo and Howard the Duck, and loads of other ones. Expand it to every publisher's bloody hard. Hawkeye, Green Arrow.
Yeah,
Green,
we
Green
sort of
Eye.
we said this a while ago. I would even, this is such a big question, I can't answer this right now, because I need more time to think about this. I may allow you to carry this question over to next week's show. So I'll give you a week to think about it, and when you come back next week, I want something amazing from everybody.
I'm down. I am down for that.
Just one, I've got a half answer, but I will think of it properly. Right, how about we cross over The Walking Dead and Marvel Zombies?
You just get Marvel Zombies then?
Yeah, but with Rick Grimes. And with one hand. Yeah.
All Rick shouting comics for a dime.
How about that?
I do have an answer, because there is a crossover I really need to see a sequel for before I die, so I've got about 40 years.
I think I've got it. Is it Transformers All Hail Megatron and something else?
Shut up, Lucas.
And G.I. Joe.
What I need to see, is Archie versus Punisher 2.
That would be cool.
Because the first one was amazing, and listeners, if you've never read Archie versus Punisher by Stan Goldberg and John Buscema, you've missed out so much. I don't know where you'd find a copy now, but I've sold about 10 boxes of comics in the last few years. That comic, my copy of that is coming to my grave. I will be buried with my copy of Archie versus Punisher.
That iconic cover of Punisher's sights on old Archie's face.
That's the one. That's one of the covers, yeah.
That's the cover for me. When someone mentions Punisher and Archie, that's the cover that pops into my head, just because of the hilariousness of Punisher wanting to shoot Archie in the face. Yeah,
it's because, I believe Betty gets annoyed because Veronica starts hitting on Frank Castle. It's been a few years since I've read it. But, yeah, there needs to be a sequel by that. Like, Garth Ennis needs to write it, and, I can't remember who's drawing the hell out of Archie at the moment. The lass who did, the Buffy versus Veronica as Vampirella issue. But, yeah, I would pay money for that. All of the money.
Wow.
But that's a stopgap answer until we have the actual answer for next week's show. Am I right, guys?
Yeah.
Yep.
You can think about that one, and next week we'll all come back with a great answer to that question. Okay? Okay. Right. Okay. Last question. And this comes from Juan Sam 26 on Twitter, who is a friend of mine who we kind of know each other because we both won a competition to ask Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone a question online. That's how we know each other. So he says, given the kind of extraordinary way in which we virtually met, he wants to know how we all met. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, shall I kick in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, a guy who used to be one of my customers at a comic shop who I'm not going to give free advertising to, but I used to work there, recommended the video game shop that this place emanates out of, and I made friends with them on Facebook, and then I used to heckle them all the time on Facebook, and then somehow I got involved with all of you guys. I don't quite know how it all happened, but it all started with me trolling. So there's the future, kids.
Basically, we punished a troll by making him be our friend.
Yes, that's true. It's been a terrible experience ever since. Thank you for my comic, Bertie. I really appreciated that.
It's alright. Okay, what about you, Fee? How did we all meet you, Fee?
I think I was talking to, this will come as a surprise to no one, I think that I was talking to David Arger on Twitter about pre-ordering, but about how important it is to pre-order your books. And it is, pre-order your books, kids. And I think Nev's joined in the conversation. Is this right, Nevs? Do you remember this?
It rings a bell. I am a great believer in trying to educate the general public in that if they want a comic, then they have to pre-order it because you can get so many copies. So yeah, this does ring a bell.
I think David retweeted me, and then I think you said something to me and David, and then we got into a conversation, and then we started following each other, and then that was that. And then you asked me if I would like to be involved with this show, with BAMF, and then that was that, I guess.
Yeah, I can't see why we punished you. That was a punishment, but there was no crime.
Yeah. And then this weekend, interestingly, I've actually met you all in person for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This happened.
It did.
Yeah, it did happen. She drank loads just to forget the night. She literally she was crying as soon as she saw Lucas's face. She's like, why?
Guys, where did we all go drinking? Was it the
Odd Shoe in Croydon?
The Odd Shoe in the Geek Out night.
Yep, Geek Out night on Mayfall. It was. It's a very nerd-centric pub. They've got loads of art around from the locals, like Transformers, Pineapple Express. I saw a Pineapple Express pipe painting. I don't know where that came from, but all sorts of different stuff. It's really cool.
Jack Sparrow explained to me how he put his moustache together in the toilet of the Odd Shoe that night.
You had some weird encounters that night.
That genuinely did happen.
That's weird. You and bearded men in toilets don't go.
Well, I'm glad to hear that we don't go, to be honest. But yeah, I believe we all met in the Odd Shoe on Saturday.
Yeah.
Out. What a great pub that was. That sold us nice alcohol.
Lucas, are you there? He's not even there. I wanted Lucas to tell
he's out the Odd Shoe, I believe.
I wanted Lucas
Trust me
to tell
when I
us.
say I have been speaking for a very long time and
You
realised
idiot.
I've done something stupid, okay?
You idiot. You muted yourself.
Let's just say there was an ice cream van going by and I had to mute my mic. Okay?
You actually leave the show to go buy ice.
No. As in it was so loud that it would have come through. But it doesn't matter, and I want this to stay in.
Right, Lucas, tell the world how we met.
Okay.
I don't want people to know that we know each other.
I'm so... okay, right, well, ice cream aside, me and Bert met when he came into, a place where I am known to occasionally work, and I had absolutely no idea who he was when I went into his workplace to get some stuff. So, I kind of, we met up that way, and then we started talking about comics, then he got me into buying comics, and then after fighting off some aliens together, we got approached by our illustrious editor, who was like, do you guys want to do a podcast about comics? And, that's kind of how we met up. I mean, there's been loads of sex with Bert.
Yeah.
It's been fantastic.
The thing is, Lucas says we're fighting aliens, but really we were just fighting each other with our trousers off.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into details, but it was a lot of fun. I don't
There was a lot of baby oil involved, a lot of slapping. I like to be slapped. Lucas not so much, he cried. It's been a year and a half of a lot of slapping and a lot of gay, oiled up sex.
But this, other than that, this podcast has been really great. I really hope somebody edits that part out.
I really hope no one does.
Or not.
You brought it on yourself, mister.
Yep, okay, well either way, that's how we met, and then we did this podcast thing, then Nevs and Fee showed up, and we was like, yeah, you guys can be part of our awesome fun super circus, and that's how we went.
Yep, and to tell you how we all met Dan, right, is that we was all on a computer, and he put his mind into our computers, and basically showed up and went, you're gonna do this thing for us, so I'm gonna shoot you in the face.
I'm not gonna tell you what he did to me, okay, cause...
Oh. He threatened me, he threatened me with punching me in the face.
How did he get you, Nevs? How did Dan get you?
He bribed me with Bioshock.
Fair enough.
Ah. Fee, how did he get you?
I don't know. I think I just...
He just mind controlled you.
Yeah, it was just, I didn't even know it was happening until it happened.
Violence, video games, mind control, and unexplainable things to get us. Dan, man, if you're listening, you need to sort yourself out. It's disgusting.
Okay, well, I believe that that about wraps things up after this bit. Yeah, Bert, would you like to do the honours as usual?
Yep. Okay, guys, you've been listening to BAMF Comics Radio. If you liked what you heard, like us, subscribe to us on the iTunes, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, follow us all individually. It's not hard to find. It's not hard to find us. Just go to the Facebook page. We're all on there. Just search our names. Yeah, and please comment, like, subscribe, spread the word. The more the better. The more of you, the better we are. We're a force, we unite, we take on the world. And yeah, so that's us. And
don't
everyone
forget to check out our YouTube channel as well.
Yes, sorry about that. BAMF has got a YouTube channel. At the moment, we're putting up, the podcast on there. And eventually, we will be doing some videos of our own. You'll get to see our faces, hear our voices, and see our really, really weird ideas put in front of the camera and put on the internet.
Stay tuned for my version of Frank Whiteley Cup of Soup.
Yes, all the videos will be sponsored by Frank Whiteley Cup of Soup. We're gonna get sued.
www.wearearcade.com.
So, goodbye everyone. Love you all. Apart from you, you know who you are.
Bye everyone.
Bye.